Project right here. You brought up the issue of sex trafficking. This is something that a lot of people don't know a lot about. But tell us, do we in fact have a problem in the United States? We think of sex trafficking as something that happens over in Thailand and places like that. You see movies about girls, co-eds kidnapped and sold to human trafficking organizations that take them to Muslim countries and so forth. But do we have a problem with human sex trafficking right here in the United States?
Yes, and I love your question because, by the way, it's been going on since the dawn of our country. I mean, prostitution, 90% of prostitutes, this is a percentage, are sex trafficked. They're pimps. Someone's getting a cut. There's coercion involved, and what I mean by coercion is someone talked them into it and promised them something they could not deliver, whether it be a love relationship, maybe a passport out of the country back into the country they originated from, or let's say, oh, I'm going to buy you a car if you sell your body for 3 months for me, and then you can part your ways. But what happens with prostitution, it's often like the mafia. You have something called the underground pimp mafia, and what they do is they keep tabs on all the girls that are out there working, and they actually sell the girls in between each other. So when I was having, my dilemma with my life, I had a pimp for 5 years that I had to share with other women, and I was what they call the bottom girl. And so sex trafficking back then was considered prostitution.
Now,
so
Annie,
it's a new term.
Annie, we've got just about a minute before, about 45 seconds before the first break. And I want to play an excerpt from the testimony you gave on Nightline that showed up on the Nightline ABC news program. But tell us, as you got involved in this industry, what kind of, I just got about 30 seconds, so we'll have to finish up with this after, but tell us the kind of toll it began to take on you to be involved in this kind of life.
Oh my gosh, shame, guilt, anger, depression, bitterness, post-traumatic stress disorder, a drug addiction started, alcohol addiction started, gambling addiction. I mean, anything and everything you always knew were the 7 deadly sins I was participating in. That's what happens to you when you become a sex worker.
Annie, when we come back out of our break, we're talking here with Annie Lobert, who radically saved by Jesus Christ, now seeking to bring other women out of the lifestyle of prostitution. We'll be back to hear her tell her story of her conversion, play an excerpt of her telling that story that appeared on Nightline. We'll also open things up for your phone calls. If you have a question or a comment for Annie, the number is 888-589-8840.